The New South Wales flood emergency is far from over as forecasters warn more rain is set to fall on already saturated catchments. 32,000 people have been forced to flee their homes, with evacuation orders still in place for parts of Sydney's northwest.
A flood-weary community coming to terms with yet another disaster. For residents in the southwest Sydney suburb of Camden, it's the worst inundation in 3 decades.
Last time in March and April when we had the previously really bad floods, it took days of rain for it to come up this high, whereas this has been just over 24 hours and it's risen this high. It's quite shocking.
Yeah, that's right. There's just over the other side of the river, there's an independent service station, and this is the 4th time that he's been submerged. Yeah. So almost up to his ceiling. So every time he's had to clean up everything, clean up all the pumps, clean up the shop, refit the shop. So yeah, I spoke to him on Saturday before it was rising, and they knew it was coming, and yeah, they were quite emotional about it because, you know, 4th time, unbelievable.
Locals Lauren and Aaron were surprised to see the Hawkesbury Nepean reach a level higher than back in April, the river peaking at almost 13 metres. Tim, Mandy and son Lincoln are hurting for the local businesses, including the Poplar Tourist Park, which has been flooded 4 times in 5 months. The owners have been forced to employ security as looting was a major issue last time.
You can see over here that there's a caravan park. That caravan park's been hit very badly, and I guess you guys were filming earlier. We've got a caravan that's been swept away and turned upside down. So, yeah, that's the first. We've never seen that before.
Look, it's worst case of deja vu you could possibly imagine. Thankfully, overnight, there's been no further evacuations. Water has receded slightly from 12.7 metres down to 11.7, but unfortunately, we're still not out of the woods. You know, living in disbelief that here we are for the 4th time in as many months, which is devastating in itself on the back of fires and COVID.
The Warragamba Dam is at its highest level in decades and is spilling over 500 gigalitres every day, equivalent to the size of Sydney Harbour. It's causing water to rise rapidly in Windsor, where the SES spent the day dropping medical supplies to cut off residents. In McGrath's Hill, heavy armed vehicles headed into floodwaters to help evacuate families from their homes. The SES conducting more than 80 rescues. The majority are people driving through floodwaters.
Over the last few days, there has been 116 flood rescues. Since 9 p.m. last night, we have had 83 flood rescues, as well as 1,593 requests for assistance. We currently, across New South Wales, have 64 evacuation warnings in place and 71 evacuation orders. That is impacting 32,000 people across New South Wales.
The RDF has received a request under the Commonwealth Disaster Recovery Plan to provide support to New South Wales. We've currently got a company-sized group of about 100 people who've worked overnight closely with the SES at McGrath's Hill to conduct a number of activities, including sandbagging, checking weather gauges and doing door knocks to provide information to the local communities.
The flood threat is far from over, with even more heavy rainfall expected to fall on saturated catchments in Sydney, the Illawarra and Blue Mountains, making the job of our emergency services even more difficult.
We are expecting continued rain along the New South Wales, or continued shower activity along the New South Wales coast for the remainder of the week. And that just means that the catchments, they're not drying out. And so any follow-up systems that we get over the next couple of weeks, we are still in East Coast low season, means the flood risk does remain.
Strong gusty winds remain an issue, and authorities are warning the saturated ground could cause trees and power lines to come down even when the rain stops falling. Julia Bradley, Sky News in Windsor.